In the remote, poverty-stricken corner of the northeastern part of Sri Lanka lies the town of Muttur. In the eastern parts of the island in particular, there exists a delicate balance of power between the three main communities of Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslims. On the 2nd of August 2006, Muttur and its surrounding areas were caught in a barrage of heavy artillery and crossfire. Villagers became trapped in their homes, unable to venture out. Over the next 2 days, the situation worsened. Civilians were caught in crossfire as the full misery of war came to this area. As public services collapsed, survivors faced acute food shortages. On the 4th of August 2006, 50,000 people fled Muttur to escape the fighting between the LTTE and the Sri Lankan army. Muttur became a ghost town.
The situation in Sri Lanka was getting worse, and that was because the ceasefire agreement, which had been in place, is breaking down very rapidly.
That was the first sign of this problem, and that's when the whole issues of displacement of people started to take place, and skirmishes between the LTTE and the government started to increase.
I first met Amjad, not actually in Kantale, not in the northeast. I first met Amjad at a NGO coordination meeting in Colombo.
At that stage we were on the ground, and we had sort of gone to a consortium meeting of other NGOs, and I had stood up to make a presentation on this, and the last thing I said was, I'd like someone who's willing to come in and help us respond to this. And Guy from UMCOR put up his hand and said, oh yeah, we'll respond.
I went to see him and said, well, have you been in the northeast? And he said, yes, I have. I've just come back. And he asked me the same, and I said, yes, I have. I've just come back. And we realised that we'd both been in the same place at the same time, doing the same work. So the most logical thing would be to get together and do the same work together.
After, when we sat down, we thought, hang on, you're UMCOR, we're Muslim Aid. What does UMCOR mean again? And then that's when they said, oh yeah, United Methodist Committee and Relief. And we thought, oh, all right, that's interesting.
We sat down within a couple of hours, started to discuss joint approaches, how we could help each other, how we can share resources. So very, very quickly, after the initial displacement of these people, we were working together and discussing how to do it.
Suddenly it had dawned on us that we'd responded collectively to this emergency without even asking who's doing what, and without even thinking about mandates and organizational structure and everything. We just gone in. And once that came about, we actually started to seriously think, is this something that can be taken forward?
Muslim Aid and UMCOR started discussing working together on many levels at the same time.
This was a partnership that actually evolved as we spoke. We did not think about it. We actually said, well, what does UMCOR have? Well, UMCOR has vehicles. What does Muslim Aid have? Muslim Aid has staff. Why don't you put Muslim Aid staff in the UMCOR vehicles and send them out?
Muslim Aid in many ways mirrors UMCOR. We believe in alleviating poverty, alleviating suffering, and working with people of all races, religions, creeds, nationalities to help them in their hour of need.
Now one can say that because it's an emergency, we had to come together. That's true, but we then took this partnership forward when people started to return back to Muttur, and we were able to assist that and support them there as well. And there again, both Muslim Aid and UMCOR played a key role.
We're very excited. We've worked together in Sri Lanka in response to the war that's going on there and a lot of displaced persons within the country. So the staffs of our two groups, Muslim Aid and UMCOR, have worked together in these local communities, and that's been quite meaningful and successful. The exciting part is how we can be in partnership in other parts of the world and actually save some lives.
When I first learned about the possibility of an UMCOR Muslim Aid partnership, I was excited about the potential that this could have for peace. What was most encouraging to me was finding out how this partnership proposal came to fruition. It underlines the experience and capability of our field staff to not only work in difficult circumstances, but also their innovation to find a way in which to excel in this environment. Guy and Amjad brought this idea to replicate their partnership to our home office, where it was carefully considered.
We had heard of the wonderful thing that happened in Sri Lanka, but I think my first contact with UMCOR, with Guy, he actually came to see the Board of Trustees of Muslim Aid.
I must admit, we had a lot to consider, but the work in Sri Lanka was so impressive that we couldn't help but think about how this could be repeated in other contexts.
We arranged for a meeting between the CEOs. They met, they discussed, they found synergy, and we moved on.
Since we have met together, we realized how similar, how identical we are. Therefore, a formal alliance to work together worldwide is a natural journey for both of us.
This process of negotiation and discussion carried on until June, when we were able to sign what I think is a landmark partnership.
On the 26th of June 2007 in the British Houses of Parliament, one of the most unusual partnership agreements took place. Two different faith-based organisations, the United Methodist Committee on Relief, UMCOR, and Muslim Aid, signed an agreement that would unite both their efforts towards reaching a shared goal in offering relief to those in desperate need.
When that signing took place in Portcullis House, it was a great feeling of relief in many, many ways. To see two organisations, one Christian, one Muslim, coming together in Portcullis House with the Right Honourable Stephen Timms, signing an agreement which binds them together irrevocably to bring relief and development to vulnerable communities, that was absolutely fantastic.
Building alliances is nothing new. It's just that this is rather historic to do it at this level with another faith group. And I think this not only addresses the issue of poverty, but certainly the issue of peace. I think what we have here is a new peace-building model, if you will, that other religious and non-religious organizations can follow. It's practical for us to work with those of other faiths.
It's an opportunity for people to indeed continue the dialogue for peace, to not just in talking but also in implementing, as we talked early on when we talk about the relationship between UMCOR and Muslim Aid. The idea was to move beyond the rhetoric.
Working across faith traditions presents some challenges, but it is also rewarding to be an example for peace in a world where Christians and Muslims are often pitted against one another.
This is the journey that has taken place. Of course, a lot of it has to do with relationship building.
There's probably no denying that the relationship between UMCOR and Muslim Aid is a personal one, and I think that it always benefits organisations to have that personal interaction. The trick, of course, is how do you move that personal relationship into the institutional one? And I think we've proven pretty significantly that it's not just based on personalities. We have institutionalised in Sri Lanka joint proposals, joint funding, joint projects.
We're quietly confident that it's not based on two individuals, but it's actually two organizations who want to come together to actually work for the betterment of the community.
Having seen the real benefits of using each other's strengths in the delivery of assistance to the suffering, UMCOR and Muslim Aid are now working to replicate this model in Sri Lanka to other regions of the world.
I think it is a wonderful thing that has happened in our journey towards relieving and alleviating poverty around the world.
The Muslim Aid UMCOR partnership has been a great success. It's allowed us to provide more aid, more assistance, more quickly, more accountably to more people than we ever could have done individually.
I believe the beginning of UMCOR and Muslim Aid has been phenomenal. There's a lot of inspiration, a lot of great hope.
We are working together in a way that is mutually respectful for the common goal of providing assistance to some of the world's most vulnerable people.
If you come together, it's a beginning. If you work together, it's progress. And if you stay together, it's a success.
Our task is to save the lives of children. And I think we can save a lot, but if we save one child anywhere on this earth, then glory be to God.